A lot of us are working on a lot of things, and if you're anything like me, you might feel frustrated a lot that you're not where you want to be emotionally, mentally, with your career and your relationships. And sometimes you feel like no matter how hard you try, you're just not there. You just haven't arrived. And I've noticed by listening to a lot of my episodes lately that I've been feeling some similar frustration of just, why am I not there yet, wherever there is? And it occurred to me recently that this might be a simple matter of a perspective shift. And so today, I'm going to be talking about, my own personal stories with just the things that I'm working on when it comes to, again, relationships, career, just my mental state, the things that I'm trying to sort of master, and why we are so often obsessed with outcomes rather than the process. And I think there's some good reasons, that society and culture has set us up to focus on the outcomes rather than the process. And I want to encourage you. As always, I want to encourage you with some of the things that I've learned, some of the things I'm struggling with, so you're not alone. And just to increase that sort of connection of people who are just trying to figure things out and learning from each other's wisdom. And it has been a minute. So in that spirit, this episode, I'm laughing at me. In that spirit, this episode is all about just that, about encouraging you wherever you're at with your journey to emotional wellness, to getting where you want in your career, to your relationships, whatever it might be. My intention with this episode is to encourage you, to help you along that journey, share some stories, share some things I've learned. And the giggly guy in the background is my husband, Tom, and I have him with here. Him with here. See, you're throwing me off, fumbling my words.
Third time.
I have Tom here for the third time, and he is here with me today. See, I found the words. To also share his thoughts on outcomes, progress, because we are both people who are working on things. Mm-hmm. We are working very hard on things, and we are working on them together. And so we're here to just share our journey with that. And so I do have a question for you right off the bat. Right. But did you have anything you wanted to say before I asked you that question?
No, what you were saying earlier about outcomes, mm-hmm. I immediately thought how impatient I am. Mm-hmm. with my own therapy and my own journey, because the expectation is that you just go to therapy and you get it fixed.
Yeah.
No, it really is. At least for me, it's like, okay, I'm on my third, visit, this month. Why am I not better? And it's a lot more work than I think you ever intend. So I know that's not what it just got me thinking when you were talking about the outcomes and people being focused on the outcomes.
Well, I think that's actually the perfect example to give people so they have an idea of some of the specifics that we mean, because part of the inspiration for this episode was trauma responses. Tom observed the other night that both he and I still revert back to some of our fear-based responses based on some of the trauma that we've been through because of abuse, not abuse between the two of us, but abuse caused by a third party. And we've noticed that certain events will put us right back in those fear responses. And when we're talking with each other, we're speaking out of fear. And, he was right in pointing that out. And I just got frustrated with myself for probably similar reasons as to you, where it's like, wait, no. I've done the therapy. Yep. I even did EMDR therapy, which I still highly recommend because it helped me heal tremendously to the point where I can exist in my own home without checking the lock every 5 seconds. But because I was still responding with fear, it's like, well, what was all that for then? I thought I was supposed to be there by now. And I think therapy is the perfect example, because as more and more people start recommending going to therapy, and as more and more people go to therapy, I think it's helpful to know that although it can help tremendously, it's just a piece of the puzzle. And I'm learning that life is much more about kind of the choices we make every day and the learning and the discovering than it is arriving. And what I'm working on is kind of moving past the frustration of not being where I think I should be. But to back up, because I was going to ask you, where do you think that frustration comes from? Like, why do you think you feel so much pressure to be in a certain place emotionally? Like, Okay, like, can you give an example with therapy that you're comfortable with? I mean, you don't have to go into any gritty details. But...
So what? I'm sorry. What was the
you said you
first
said,
part of the question though?
You said therapy, like, you work on something in therapy, and then you're still struggling with it, or you think you should be at a certain place. Are you comfortable with giving it? I guess I have two questions. Are you comfortable with giving an example of what you mean, and why do you think we feel that pressure to be at a particular place or have a particular outcome?
Yeah. I think where a lot of my frustration it's kind of a post-therapy thing where it's frustrating because therapy, you enter your session, you kind of have your topics just like you would with a podcast of what you want to talk about or what you want to get advice on or maybe even a checkbook of how has it been going from last time with the tools that I gave you last time. And where the frustration comes in is that you'll make small progress throughout the session. And then outside of the sessions, you're like, okay, this is the next time this triggers or the next time I am feeling panic, because I suffer from panic attacks, which is something I'm not great at, but then sometimes amazing at. But you work on it post therapy.
You mean amazing at overcoming?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's 50-50,
okay.
Whether or not you can overcome that panic attack or not, whatever. But you work on your things post therapy outside, and you tell yourself the next time something like this happens and that I feel triggered, I'm going to respond this way. But then you get triggered by whatever it might be, and now you're in an emotional state and you're trying to tell yourself react this way, but you might react negatively. You might react the ass opposite way that you're learning in therapy to do. Then you begin beating yourself up because you didn't react properly. So now you feel like you've done two things wrong. You didn't use the tools in your toolbox, and you reacted the way that you used to react, prior to learning this new great, answer to all your problems therapy, right? Which is not the case. But that's where the frustration comes in, is that you try. You're going to succeed sometimes in using those proper tools from the therapist, but then maybe the next time it happens, you don't. So then you feel like you've taken a few steps back.
Yeah. I think you explained that really well.
At least
that's how
for me.
I feel.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, and I'm sure there's people out there who feel that way. And I think these are the things that people don't talk about very often when it comes to therapy. I feel like more often than not we hear stories of people's arrival, and so dealing with some of the same things, and again, I don't think I could have said it better than you did. I had to ask myself, because it's like, okay, getting mad at myself isn't helping, it's like I just would feel worse. And so it's like I had to start asking, okay, what do I need to just view this journey differently? Because if I keep thinking, when it comes to trauma-based things, or even just things I'm working on the podcast, I've shared about our attachment issues and how attachment issues often come out in relationships. And I've talked about my fear of abandonment and things like that. And so whether I'm talking about my fear of abandonment or I'm still having trauma responses, it's like it feels very much outside of your control sometimes, even though you do everything you can, but then it's like the body kind of takes over. And so what I found is that getting mad at myself and frustrated with myself, and kind of like what you said, beating yourself up, it doesn't help. If anything, what that does, when you feel like you take 3 steps back, 1 step forward, 3 steps back, it really squashes your motivation to leap forward. That's what I've learned from going through this cycle of, okay, I should have arrived by now. Why did I do that? And getting mad at myself. It's not helping. It just kind of sets me more on edge in general. So as I was thinking about this, I had to think, okay, why is this happening? So why why do you think, and I kind of already asked this, like I have an answer for myself, but why do you think you have that frustration? Like, why do you think you get frustrated with yourself when that happens? Where does the frustration come from? Like, what is it blocking you from, I guess?
Yeah. Well, the frustration comes with believing you're doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you believe you're doing the right steps to try to get better, or to try to learn more about yourself, or self-reflect, or sometimes it takes people a lot of time to just get into therapy, or into a state of mind where they feel like they can actually take on personal growth. So they've already taken that first step, and that first step is scary. Just making that call. Some people have a hard time making that call to set up an appointment for a therapy, or to talk to their doctor, or even just finding the right self-help book. They have to, it takes a lot for them to find that first step. So once they do that, they've accomplished something. And you start going to therapy again, you start getting your tools, and you start feeling a little bit better, but then you have a therapy session. Sometimes it's tough because you have to relive things, because reliving things is probably, it's re-triggering a trauma response. It's revisiting a story that you didn't want to tell your spouse, and now you're telling a stranger, and I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic, but it's, you believe you're doing the right thing. And when you do take a step back, you just immediately feel like you did something wrong, and you failed again. Help me out here.
Well, maybe it fits too with my issue is I feel like when I trip up and I get caught up in fear again, it blocks me from my goals. And my goals right now are to have a harmonious relationship with you,
right.
That's free from the trauma that we've been through mutually. And from my goals of just when it comes to my writing and my dreams of just focusing on who I'm becoming, what I'm writing, the healthy friendships that I have, like focusing on all the joys of life, I feel like when I get caught up in this fear, it blocks that. And ultimately, I just want to live presently from this place that I have now of dreams. And so I get frustrated because I feel like it blocks me from those things. And so to clarify for you, the right thing for what and for whom? Like you say it stops you from doing the right thing, but what is the right thing? What does that mean to you?
What it means to me is that I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing the right thing for myself by seeking personal growth and a therapy route for what I need, so I can be a better partner, a better father, a better professional at work, but also just, more importantly, just a better me. So that's what doing those right things, that's what they are to me. And I'm the first person to beat myself up if I do something wrong. I don't need anyone else, to tell me that I've made a mistake or that I've done something wrong, because I assure you I've said it to myself 1,000 times. You know what I mean? So part of my therapy, part of my growth, which is going okay-ish, is not beating myself up. But that's like the hardest thing that I could possibly work on, because there's that voice in your head that says, no, you fucked up. She doesn't like you anymore. Your kids are mad at you, or whatever it might be. Whatever it might be, any kind of mistake.
The voices.
Yeah, the voices. The voices creep in, and it's like, that's one of the hardest things to not listen to, is that voice of doubt. And that scolding, reprimanding voice that we all have. Because we just all have it. And some people are much better at ignoring it, pushing through, having that more self-confidence, whatever it might be, but then others, they struggle with it. And I like to believe that I'm a fairly confident guy, but like you've seen, if you listen to me sometimes, it's like, oh shit, this is This is a guy that's confident in certain areas, but in some areas he's feeling pretty low. Or, so.
Well, I have some thoughts. I have some thoughts about why these things happen and what we can do about it. And I kind of arrived at some of these by being a parent and just looking at myself. And I find that the things I want to ignore in myself are also the things I don't want to deal with my kids. And typically that's tantrums. Right? It's that thing we learn very young of, okay, there's no place for tantrums.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look at two people arguing, especially in a romantic relationship, it kind of is your inner child coming out.
Yeah.
It is a little bit, because you kind of revert to childish things, and that's where I think a lot of it comes from. Sure, trauma responses are also attachment issues. You're basically saying what a kid would say, don't leave me, listen to me, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that being said, I personally don't often want to give attention to tantrums because they're exhausting and nobody really enjoys how they feel. But the more that I thought about, these fear-based responses and getting frustrated with myself for wanting to respond from a place of peace, but instead responding from a place of fear, it's like, well, what if I shifted my perspective from, okay, I'm mad at myself for not arriving at a place where I can just hear this triggering thing or see this triggering event or whatever it is and just respond from a place of peace. Instead of being frustrated at myself that I can't do this, what if I said, oh, that needs my attention? Shifting from an outcome-based response to an attention-based response. And when I say attention, I don't mean I ruminate on it all day. I mean it's like, okay, instead of getting mad at myself, asking myself, all right, Jenna, why are you still afraid? Why is this still bothering you? And then it literally becomes, a conversation that I have with myself. And at least when it has come to times where I've lost my temper, or I've gotten lost in fear, or I raised my voice, or I brought up the thing from the past that I didn't want to bring up again, but I did, whether that's something the person who I believe hurt me did or something I've done, instead of getting caught up in that why, it's like, okay, why? Why is this still bothering you? And what meaning can you make out of it today? What can you do with it today? And what that is sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to write this down. There's a tip I learned on Jay Shetty's podcast that one of the best ways to actually, and this is research-based, release negative thoughts. So if you have a repeating negative thought, like, my husband's going to leave me because I have too many big emotions, whatever it is, writing it down and then actually ripping it up into pieces and throwing it in the trash, actually that act of ripping it up and throwing it away mentally helps you to release it more.
What do you think that is? Do you think it's the emotional and the physical action of writing what you're feeling, and then the physical thing of just tearing it up, like symbolic?
It must be. I don't know. You could probably find the research that was
curious.
done. Jay Shetty talked about it on one of his, I think it was maybe the podcast he released on Friday. It would have been May 2nd, I think.
Yeah.
I forget what the title of it was, but you could probably look into some of the studies that he referenced. I don't know what it is. What I do know
about that.
is that these tools that I've started to incorporate help. And so to explain what I mean, it's like, okay, now instead of letting that fear take me and getting mad at myself and letting it ruin my day of, all right, well, that's it. I stop and I go, okay, I lost my shit for a minute. Okay, fear took over. Why? And you just sit and you think, and it's like, oh, I'm still afraid that I can't trust. Oh, this pattern is still there of I can't trust, or oh, I'm still afraid of being left. And you take a minute and you write it down, and then you physically rip it up and throw it in the trash. And so with that, it's like when you stop and you just give your attention to it for a minute. And again, these are like, you do these activities in a minute. You don't ruminate on it all day. You just stop and you give it your attention. You can identify, okay, is this just an old pattern cropping up? Is this something I still need Do I still need to believe I can't trust my husband? Do I still need to believe that I am going to fail at this career? No. That doesn't serve me right now.
Right.
I need to rip it up and get rid of it. And now, just by taking 2 minutes to do that, instead of thinking, okay, I failed, I went back there, it's like, no, now I took a step to releasing it. And I've actually done these things, and it gives me satisfaction. And then it actually helps me even take the next step of, okay, how can I use what I learned today in my art? How can I write about fear? How can I write about, trauma taking over, maybe? How can I incorporate that into my characters? And so it's like, once you take the first self-care steps, then you can even learn to take it a step further, a step higher, and you can, use it as fuel. Because something I heard that comedian say too, what's her name? Christina
P.
Christina P. Heard her on Ed Milet's podcast. She says, because she's also been through several different traumatic events throughout her childhood, she says that when you can assign meaning to your trauma, that's how you conquer it. It's not the everything happens for a reason bullshit. It's the when you can assign your own meaning to something traumatic that happened. And I want you to listen close. If you've zoned out a little bit, zone back in. If you can assign meaning to your daily experiences with fear, anger, PTSD, whatever it is, not just the event itself, but all of your experiences thereafter, that's how you rise above it. That's how you make meaning of it daily, is you take a look at it daily. Why did this crop up? Okay, this is why. How can I use it as fuel for my highest path? And sometimes even just saying that in your head, work this together for my highest path. Write it down, work this together for my highest path. And what I mean by my highest path is kind of what it sounds like, where it's like your best life, your best self. Kind of like you said, the best you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have noticed a psychological shift when I do those things. Instead of getting mad at myself, just asking why, almost like I'm taking care of myself as a kid, giving that thing the attention it needs. And do I need to release it? Or is this just, a self-love thing where I need to just tell myself some affirmations? And then whatever it is, something I need to release or something I need to kind of fuel, how can I then apply it to whatever my art is? And there's so many ways that you can apply it, even if you're not a writer, if you interact with people, anything you learn about yourself is a better way to interact with people. There's so many ways to turn your daily experiences into fuel for the higher purpose. But that was a lot of things, but I wanted to bring it up because for me specifically, that's something that started to work. And I wanted to take it a step further and talk about, arrival versus outcomes versus just daily experiences. But I wanted to pause first and ask if you have anything you wanted to add to that or any thoughts on that. Because it was, you're used to these kinds of conversations.
Yes.
So it's not anything new for me to say 45 minutes of something and ask you, so what do you think?
Maybe. I don't think we ever fully arrive at where we want to be. I think it's a continuous journey of getting there. Mm-hmm. But I think along the way, you find better ways to deal with your shit and improve. But I don't think you should ever just stop. Stop trying to improve or stop trying to arrive at this place because, I'm just talking about therapy itself, but it's continuous. There's no, hey, this program's 10 weeks long and you're going to feel amazing and you'll never need anything else ever again. I think this is a constant growth, personally. Mm-hmm. Because there's always, you're going to fix one problem and there's going to be another. You're going to fix that problem, then there's going to be another. And I don't mean problem, but at least my mind changes all the time in terms of how I can face certain things. And certain things I can say, this is fixed. I can officially say it's fixed, but it was just replaced with something else that's maybe similar to it. And I'm talking about like my dad's death. you know. Hit me hard and hit me in different waves of grief throughout different stages in my life, you know, post his death. But I fixed every one of them. You know, like I did fix every one of them, only for it to be replaced with another thing that I need to resolve with him, you know, and grow. And even now,
he's been gone for over 20 years, right?
He's been gone for about 20. I think it's 19 officially.
Oh, okay.
I think, you know.
Yeah.
But it's been a good portion of my life now that he hasn't been around. Mm-hmm. But those things are still there. Mm-hmm. And again, you kind of fix one and then you move to the next. So I think it's always stages of, I don't think we ever arrive at this 100% thing, you know, where we just feel great and we're able to feel that joy. Or at least for me, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I think it's a continuous growth, continuous learning about yourself and how you deal with things. Because every argument that you have with your spouse or your friends or your coworkers or your boss, it's a new experience every time. It might be about the same issue, but that particular argument or that particular conflict or trigger is a new experience that you're dealing with in that moment, you know, and you learn from it every time.
And I think noticing that is huge because, you know, humans have a negativity bias, right? And that's especially true of ourselves. So you're right. With each argument, it's a new experience. And I think sometimes even if we are improving, when we look back on it, all we see are the ways that we messed up again. When it's like, oh, but hey, I didn't go there this time.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't say this thing this time. Sorry. I got afraid, but I didn't this time.
Right. No, exactly.
Or I was aware. Awareness is huge for changing patterns. I was aware that my body tensed up. I was aware that I started getting defensive because I just felt insecure. You know, like, I think an important piece to feeling encouraged to continue to make progress is to force our minds to reflect on arguments, and even if we immediately go to the negative in our partner and in ourselves, to notice the negative, but then let yourself feel the positive, as hard as it is. And I know there's a shit ton of people out there who can relate to this, where you can't feel compliments, you can't feel the credit you deserve when somebody tries to lift you up because of all the stupid ways the world has numbed you. But that means you have to try that much harder to allow yourself to actually feel the credit. Allow yourself to feel the compliment when it's given. And more you'll be able to open up yourself to those things, and more you'll be motivated to continue on your highest path, to continue that growth. Because naturally, that's how human beings have survived, was always looking for the worst, because then we could protect ourselves from it. But we've reached a stage in evolution where we have the safety to be creative and to be innovative. And, you know, so a step in evolving in that direction too is learning how to override, 2 million years of evolution. But hey, it's steps. Did you have other thoughts? Because I was gonna explain something else too.
Compliments are tough to receive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever successfully accepted a compliment ever without just being really awkward, as if you're flirting with me or something. You know? It's like, kind of blush, like, no, I'm not. You know, but anyway.
No, that's true.
Compliments are tough.
Or you just don't hear it sometimes. You're like, no.
Yeah, no.
Just don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, don't even acknowledge it. It's much easier to, just pretend like you didn't say it. I will always have that problem, most likely.
Yeah.
It's always going to be something I'm working on, but no.
Well, here's the good news. Life is based on patterns, right? Like, that's how the brain functions. We build pathways of responses so that our brains don't use as much energy. Like, the brain is all about conserving energy. And as much frustration as I have felt sometimes with not arriving where I want to be, if I'm honest and I give myself the space to accept the compliment, I have certainly evolved quite a bit. And I've certainly built more patterns of peace and creativity where my go-to is not to distract with something. That was one of my go-tos. I'm going to distract with this TV show. I'm going to distract by scrolling on my phone. I'm going to distract. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not even a thought. Like when I get stressed, I don't go pick up my phone. You know, like I go to my computer, I go for a walk, I go to my journal. So the good news is that it does get easier the more that you form new pathways. That is a thing. Even as I'm frustrated that I haven't arrived, quote unquote, I can look at the ways that I have grown, and I certainly do not revert to fear as much as I used to. And that's, I guess, the beauty of the whole thing is you just wake up one day and you go, holy shit, like, I've spent the last several months focusing more on my art than on all the things I don't have right now.
Yeah.
The brain does evolve in a way where you do naturally work more from places of peace and creativity, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment.
Yeah.
Can you think of things that you naturally do better now that you didn't used to?
So when you were, when you were talking, I was like trying to think of what I feel like I do naturally better versus I can't think of it, and I'll be honest. Well, but okay, so maybe your listeners need to know that I'm in a different state right now. Like I've been going through a different state in the last month or two. So it's been challenging the last 2 months, I would say, for me to do a lot of things that I normally wouldn't do, that kind of thing. I don't know.
What do you mean by different state? Mentally?
Well, mentally and spiritually, I'm in a much different place right now. I'm at a lower point right now in therapy and in, I'm just going to say life. Not that my life is terrible. I don't believe my life is terrible. By no means, but mentally and emotionally I'm in a different state of mind. You know, I think some of the stuff that I've gotten better at is just accepting certain things, you know, like, and I don't want to specifically say, but learning to accept that, you know what, Tom, you're having a really bad day and that's okay. Tomorrow will be better. We'll see how tomorrow goes. I'm in a much better place of just saying that when I'm in the thick of a bad day than I was before.
What used to happen?
What used to happen is I would just become that bad thing the next few days. Oh, you had a shitty day. You had a fight with your wife. The kids were insane on Monday. Yep, this is just your life now. You know what I mean? Like, I used to do that. Like, this is just your life. Tomorrow's going to be the same. Tomorrow, you know, the next day. Now it's a little bit different where it's like, no, today is just a bad day. I'm going to feel a little bit better tomorrow. You know what I mean? Or maybe I'll feel a lot better tomorrow. So accepting that it's okay to have a bad day or even a bad anxiety day. Because my panic attacks have been, like, off the hook the last 4 months. They've been just insane. And it's like, before I'd crawl into a hole, whereas now I don't have that option, which is good, because now I can just accept, yep, it was high anxiety today. What things did I do that may have caused it? Did I drink too much caffeine? Okay, yeah, actually, you did drink a whole pot of coffee. So that didn't contribute it. What else happened, Tom, that may have caused this high anxiety day? Well, you didn't really sleep last night. You know, you didn't sleep good last night. So that's a good contributor. So by me being able to look at some of the things that I did during that day have helped me accept that it's just a bad day, Tom. You're going to make it. You're going to survive. You're going to get to tomorrow. And then you get to start over and try again. But I ask myself more questions now. On the really high, intense anxiety days, I ask myself more questions. And I voice it, too. You know? I voice it a lot more to you And some of the stuff is just very visible. You'll see me pacing. You know, you'll see me pacing like a caged lion, and that's an indicator. That's an indicator. But I think I've gotten better. I think I've grown a little bit internally with the anxiety attacks. You know, than I was before.
Yeah.
Because it was just literally prior to meeting you, I should say. If I went through periods of my life where I was like, you know, in panic attacks that would just knock me the fuck out. Like, it'd be like, nope, I'm noping out of today and tomorrow, maybe this weekend if I get an opportunity, and I'm just not addressing life. All because I had a really bad panic attack day. I don't do that anymore. I don't.
What does noping out of today look like? Just out of
noping
curiosity.
out of today is just well, it's nope, not doing it. I'm not going to work.
Okay.
I'm not interacting with people. Nope.
Just staying in your room.
Staying in your room.
Virtual
reality.
Video games.
No.
What is it? What is it?
No,
I just assumed you did a gamer thing.
No. Actually, no. Now this is just going to get funny. Actually, no. On those noping out of everything days, I was not able to play a video game because I couldn't sit still for more than 2 minutes. So nothing would be entertaining. So I'd literally just pace.
Just kind of be...
Yep.
Okay.
And, you know, flip to a dozen different movies because I couldn't pick one. Just to try to melt my mind a little bit. So it would just... That's what it would be.
So how do you... Because you said ever since you met me, like, so what do you do now?
Well, it's just changed. It's just... Well, therapy's helped. But also being able to communicate with your partner helped. There's a fine line sometimes about what, you know, because sometimes it's just an anxiety attack. Well, what's going on? I don't know. You know? I don't know. It's just a day. So it's improved because I have someone to talk to, someone that's in the thick of it with me as well. You know what I mean? I have a best friend. You know what I mean? I have someone that I can talk to about certain things, but I also have someone that sometimes being visibly seen that you're having a bad day helps too. You feel less alone. What
statements help you so that you feel less alone and not dismissed or something like that?
Generally speaking, it's really not the whole therapeutic, you know, your feelings are valid. Like those statements, those Psychology 101 statements don't work. Sometimes it's nothing at all. Sometimes it's just something very small, a gesture. You know, hey Tom, I noticed you were out of creamer. You know?
Oh, okay, so hold on, let's pause. So I was talking specifically about panic attacks. Like what happens in the midst of that. Like, because you were talking about coping with panic attacks. So like I was asking... what helps now in the moment so that you don't kind of go into this hole, or so that you can come out of it? Like what helps?
Well, that's what I was saying is talking to you.
Okay.
Or being seen, or a gesture, you know. Those things help in those moments.
Okay.
Yeah.
So literally me getting you coffee creamer helps you with your panic attacks?
there was a weird ass day that I was just having tons of anxiety. I was at work. Having tons of anxiety, and like you went to Trader Joe's, you know what I mean? And
good stuff.
Like, you know, you text me, hey, can you help me? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. But then I'm like, oh my god, she was thinking of me. Is what it is. She was thinking of me, bought this coffee creamer that I love, noticed that I was out. Okay, good, Tom. Hey, you are seen. Because being seen is what helps me pull out of that. You know, feeling like you have a partner or someone in the trenches with you is incredibly important during those times. You know, because when there's strife between us, when we've argued the night before, and then I'm at work, and then I'm having like a bad panic attack or whatever it might be, there's no getting out of that. that's when I have to use the tactics of, okay, Tom, this is a bad day. Mm-hmm. That's when I have to self-soothe myself, which I'm capable of doing, but it's a hell of a lot easier when you have that plus your partner. At least for me. You need that reassurance that everything's going to be okay sometimes.
So, practical tips for listeners. What would be their coffee creamer? Like, if they have a partner who's struggling with a panic attack, like, how could we distill that for people listening? You know, like, how, you know, what are some other ways that help people feel seen? You know what I mean? In the midst
Ask them how their day is. Okay. Like, there's a lot of power behind checking in with your friend, your partner, your coworker, your whatever. Hey, how are you? How are you feeling? Or even just statements of, you know, I've noticed you've been pacing a little bit. Is everything okay? You know? And then listening, you know, then hearing them. I think that really helps.
Okay, so it sounds like a lot of it is just acknowledgement, you know, whether it's being seen by just, okay, and that can be a lot of, you know, and when it comes to panic attacks, oftentimes, you know, that does involve, like, actually coming down from a panic attack can often, you know, like, there's professional tools and toolkits for pretty serious things, you know, but the reality is, here's the reality of the situation. Many of us live with people who we love, and I'm going to get really real here for a second. As we all know, like, Tom is an abuse victim, right? And that's part of it. He also has struggled with anxiety the majority of his life. So many of us who love people, you know, we're the ones who are with them when they have panic attacks, you know. So if you love somebody who's been through some trauma or who's coming out of a really tough situation, you might have to help or be there or want to help them, even though you're not a professional. So I'm going to say this, like, neither of us are professionals when it comes to calming panic attacks. We're just two people living with the realities of how cruel life can be sometimes and trying to heal from it. And so when it comes to trauma responses, anxiety, panic attacks, all that kind of stuff, what I'm hearing you say is that just being seen helps, just being acknowledged, whether that's done through gestures, you know, noticing the things that you need, the things that you're out of, just feeling like somebody notices you, or just an acknowledgement that you're in high anxiety. And I think where many of us still get tripped up, even though I feel like it's very common advice now to hear, don't fix it, just listen, don't fix it, just listen. I feel like oftentimes our tendency is still to fix it. And it makes sense because you don't want to see your partner suffering. Right. And sometimes when you feed off of that energy, you start to feel it too, when you just want things to calm down again. Yep. You know, so of course our natural tendency is to fix it because you just want the calm to return. Yep. But also then that's where things lead to assumptions or potentially saying the wrong thing.
Patronizing. That can happen. Yeah. That can happen really. Okay, sorry to interrupt you.
No, but what do you mean by patronizing?
When you're in the midst of a panic attack, like you said, you know, like, at least for me, need to be seen, you know. But if being seen means treating me like a baby because I'm having a panic attack, you know.
What does treating you like a baby sound like?
It's hard to explain. But it can be done very, very easily. Well, let's talk more about patronizing right quick, and I'll get back to it. Patronizing can be statements like, yeah, everyone's having a hard time right now. Everyone has bad days, you know? Yeah. Or like you said, here's a fix. Well, what you need to do is just breathe, and you need to relax and not let it get to you. It's like, oh my God, if I knew that the whole time, I wouldn't have had a panic attack.
I just have to not let it bother. Okay.
But but there is a level of being treated like a baby sometimes that can be overwhelming, you know, and that's when it's like, well, what can I do for you? But what do you need right now? You know, like that kind. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain, but it's this weird kind of like Like, well, you know what? Let's make today about you. Like, no, the panic attack is momentary. I don't need to have a parade in my honor. I just want to be heard, and I just want to be seen, and then it goes naturally from there how I'm going to feel better. You know, maybe reassure me, like, oh, hey, you know, your hair looks great today. You know, like, but...
Well, and ultimately, I think that's the healthiest thing for all parties to do, is to acknowledge, you know, like, just with, hey, I see you're struggling, you know, I'm really sorry, or what's going on? And then listening, and then, you know, just letting the person kind of get it out, because ultimately, and you kind of said this yourself, we have to find a way to soothe ourselves, right? Because somebody isn't always going to be there. No. And so it's like, at the end of the day, the person having the panic attack does need to learn to soothe and calm themselves. You know, we all need that, but we all also can use help sometimes. And when you're living with people, that simple acknowledgement that you see it, you know, hey, I see that you're really struggling right now. I'm sorry. You know,
it's amazing it's amazing how far that goes. Like, that can sometimes just stop it. It can just be like, okay, good. We're connected. We're connected on this. Yeah.
Well, and oftentimes I think many people are in tune with their partners or their children or their best friend or their roommate or whoever they live with, but they just don't always communicate that, you know, that they do see it, but it's like it's not always communicated. But I think that's really helpful, and to kind of circle everything back to, this is obviously a daily process, right? Whether it's a panic attack, conquering fear, or just working towards your dreams. It's a lot of work, and where I kind of want to sort of distill this down even further into some like just thoughts about perspective in life and shifting, because as I've mentioned before, I've kind of shifted from this outcome mindset to attention mindset and how we look at life. And to kind of introduce this part of it, I want to refer to something interesting that I heard from, I gotta look up this guy's name because I can't not say his name because he was so good, and I gotta buy his book. Mo Gaudat, I think that's how you say it. And he's a software engineer who just knows a shit ton about AI and stuff. And he was just talking about some of his philosophies of life and AI and where the world is going, both the doom side and the amazing side. And he said something that, you know, is probably not shocking to people, but when the Industrial Revolution happened is when people started to define themselves by their work. When they started to define themselves by what they could produce and what their job was. And I think all of us, especially if you live in the United States, know what I'm talking about, where one of the first things that you say to someone when you meet them is what you do for work. Oftentimes we are judged by what we do for work, right? Judgment is tied to that, whether, okay, you find out someone washes windows, you find out someone's a software engineer, just to use the example of the man that I was quoting. Judgments are tied to that, about that person's skill level, oftentimes their worth, their ambition. All kinds of judgments are associated with what someone does for work. Think about family get-togethers, right? We've got all the summer ones coming up. What do you talk about at family get-togethers? Oh, how work is going.
How's work?
And if you're not working, God forbid, well then what the hell are you going to talk about? You might as well not even exist.
The weather.
I can't even tell you, since I've quit my teaching job, how many people just didn't know how to talk to me. They didn't know what questions to ask me. And here's the crazy thing. As all of you listening well know, I got a lot to say. I got some things to talk about, but like people don't know what to ask you about when you're not working.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because it's like that, I think, is where much of this outcome-driven mindset comes from, of I am what I produce. It's the same for school. And this is where I can speak professionally because I was an educator for 11 years. We teach kids to get the grades, right? We teach kids, you know, okay, you do this, this, and this, and then you get this grade, or you get this grade. You do this, this, and this, and then you get to the diploma. Part of the reason why I quit teaching is because, especially post-COVID, it was all about passing. What do we need to do to pass these kids, to get them to the graduation, to get them to the next thing? It was not about learning anymore. It was not about that daily engagement. We live in a very outcome-driven, grade-driven, I am my paycheck every 2 weeks driven
I am
society.
my report card.
That's a really good way to summarize it. I am my report card.
Yeah.
And I think that is what fucks everything up. Because we human beings can't compartmentalize things as much as we would like to think we can. We can't. And I think we apply that outcome, I am my report card mindset to even our personal growth. Because it's like, I've done this, this, and this. So I turned in this assignment, this assignment, this assignment. Where's my A? Why haven't I conquered fear? And I don't think life is meant to be lived that way. Something Mr. Godat, I feel like I'm saying his name wrong.
It's probably like the go.
Me.
It's probably
well,
like
I swear I heard that's how Ed Milet said it. So
yeah.
I would assume if he's going to have someone on his show, he's going to know how to say their name.
Yeah.
So I'm trusting him with that.
Good old Ed.
Good old Ed, yes. Just in my ear daily. But but anyway, the other thing that Mr. Godat was saying is that, you know, we need to, if we want to get healthier and if we want to just live our best lives, we kind of need to go back to what it means to be human. And being human is all about connection. Our connection to other human beings and our connection to nature and the earth. And as many of you already know from listening to my show, that's where a lot of the science is going to, is reestablishing those connections. And thinking about it in that light of like, okay, maybe if I didn't think about life so much as just an arrival, so much as just a report card, maybe if I thought about life more about the connections I'm making each day, whether that's a deeper connection to myself, a deeper connection to my partner, or a deeper connection to my dreams and my goals, that would probably help me to not feel so frustrated. If it was more about connection and less about the outcome, and more about, okay, this is here, this fear is here, what happens if I give it my attention? Let me connect my attention to it. Oh, okay, now I've learned something. Oh, now I can apply this something to this something. And when you look at life that way, you can look at each day as mattering a lot. Like, you're not waiting for the day when you finally don't have that thing anymore. It's like, okay, what waves can I make today with what I've discovered? Because to take it even deeper, I fully believe the things that we do every day make a difference. They make a difference in the lives of our children, and the lives of our partner, and the lives of the people we see at the gas station, and the lives of the people we work with. I firmly believe in the interconnectedness of everything and the waves we make as human beings. I think they really, really matter. Even, you know, I made a new friend, by the way, and I'm hoping to have her on the podcast right now because she should be on in a couple weeks, actually. We've got it scheduled because she's writing this amazing book and I got to get her on to talk about it. But she sent me an email today informing me about this poetry contest that she thought I should enter. And even just her sending me that email on a random Sunday afternoon it made me feel good. It made me feel seen, and it made me more motivated to keep writing and keep putting things out there. So all that I'm trying to say is that the things we do every day matter. They make waves. And I think if we shift from this perspective of, I'm not just running the race to get my report card, to get my A. I'm not defined by my work. I'm not defined by my outcome. I am here to learn and exist each day and make connections. I think that takes a lot of the pressure of arrival off and motivates learning. I'm here each day to make connections to myself and to others and to the universe. And looking at everything from my own trauma responses to my goals, to my dreams, to my writing skills, looking at it through the eyes of connection rather than the eyes of outcome, it's very freeing to me. So what do you think, Tom?
Beautifully said. I don't know how to segue into that.
Did you start zoning out?
No.
Did I lose you?
No, you didn't lose me.
Oh, okay.
No, just beautiful words. No real segue. into something else. No, I think I think I just want to add the impact that you can make on people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your friend emailed you a, you know, kind of like, hey, you should check this out kind of thing. And that made your day.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
That made an impact on you. That reinforced maybe an insecurity that you had. Not about the relationship, but just, you know, but maybe it reinforced something. Hey, someone else is thinking about me.
Reinforcing an insecurity means she made me feel more insecure. Did
No,
you mean like
no, I meant,
okay,
sorry.
like, reinforced like...
Now I've lost my train of thought. I think you know what I meant.
Reinforce some belief in myself, maybe?
Yeah,
or
reinforce
that,
a belief
okay.
that, okay, yeah, this is a good friendship, healthy friendship kind of thing. So the impact that email is everlasting, you know, for that day. Or that interaction at a gas station with the attendant, you know, it being a positive one. Mm-hmm. You have no idea what other people are going through or what they might need. So, you know, you could have been having the worst day of your life today, and your friend emailing you to say, hey, check this out, I think you'd do great.
And I'm going to ask all
huge.
of you to pause and reflect on that. We feel the best in life. I'm going to make this definitive statement. We feel the best in life when we feel connected.
Yes.
Whether
yes.
that is to our partner, to our family, to the people we work with, to the gardens we plant, to our passion. When you are speaking from a place of truth and being genuine, and you feel like that's resonated with someone, think about a friend who you've met where you just vibe with them. Think about your partner, and when you're at your best with them, like you're really feeling the love. You're really feeling like they understand what you're saying. The reason I fell in love with Tom is because I felt connected to him the second I sat down with him. I felt like he could see me. We feel our best when we feel connected. And making those connections every single day is what lifts us higher, is what makes us feel like we want to be here. And when we can look at life from that perspective, and from the perspective that we always have the power to choose. And Christina P. was talking about that. She kept saying, we can choose, we can choose, we can choose. So, for example, when I had this fear-based response and I said something I regretted, again, I gave my attention to it, and then I was like, okay, the fear got me that time. Well, guess what? I still have 12 hours left in this day. I can put that to use now. I can feel more connected to myself by loving myself through it, by not getting pissed and dismissing myself and my feelings. I can say, you know what, Jenna, I literally talk to myself now. I love you. It's okay that you're afraid. You've been through a lot. Now, what can we do with it? Okay, so as time goes on, it's like, oh, we could use it in this part of the story. Or, oh, hey, now I can empathize. Sometimes I use it for empathy. Like, oh, hey, now that I know how it feels to say or do something out of fear that I wish I wouldn't have, maybe I can understand why this person did it in this moment. And now you're not othered from them. You're equals. You can empathize with them. And so we always have the power to choose. And we don't have to wait till the next day. We can turn it around. We can make a connection to something. And so all of this is to just really make the point that I think if we can shift from this outcome-based mindset of, I've been to this much therapy, I should be here by now. Or I've worked my way up this far on the career ladder, I should be here by now. What's wrong with me that I'm not? Or I should have this, I should have that, I should have made it, instead of instead of focusing on the outcome and shifting instead to what connections do I need to make today? To myself, with my partner, with those I'm around? And what do I need to reassess? Because also, if you are in a situation where maybe you do need to walk away from your job or you do need to walk away from a relationship, you can figure out where you need to disconnect from too. It's the things that we do every single day. And I think looking at life from a perspective of where am I at today? What connections can I make today? Where do I need to be connected today? That can be really powerful. It takes the pressure off of arriving at a certain time and helps you be more patient with yourself wherever you are. And then again, like I said before you know it, you wake up one day and you go, holy shit, I've been at peace for a long time now. Or, holy shit, in general, I don't respond out of fear now. It comes up a lot less than it used to. Before you know it, you've built a pattern. And to Tom's point about, like, we never stop growing, well, what can you do next? Now that you've conquered fear, or conquered it more, where can you be creative? What can you put that energy toward now to lift yourself even higher? And that's what makes life really exciting too, I think. Sir, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I'm not adding anything because I just said reinforcing insecurity.
You know what? This episode is all about learning.
It's all about learning.
Nobody has arrived at using the perfect words all the time.
No,
That's coming from me. Wordsmith.
Yeah, patience with yourself is incredibly important. I hate to say give yourself grace, but yeah, give yourself grace. But yeah, patience with yourself in the process of growth is really difficult, but you have to give it to yourself. And you have to celebrate the wins when you have them. And yes, you might not ever be able to fully conquer a fear, but you can get better and move on to the next. Because for some of us, creative outlets are great, but some of them are different. Some of them aren't things that you can create something tangible like writing or or a painting. Sometimes being creative is comedy, or
parenting.
Yeah. So you can put that in, I think I like
customer service.
Customer service.
With
Yeah.
kids.
I think putting that energy, putting the right amount of energy into the right things can be anything. It doesn't necessarily always have to be creative, but it can be creativity with parenting or just being a better person.
So you're saying we can kind of start putting our energy towards that, once
right.
we are more patient and
Yep. When we reach that, the level 1.2 of patience, we'll move on to 1.3 tomorrow, but we're going to enjoy that 1.2 for right now.
Yeah, acknowledge the wins. We talked about that too.
Acknowledging that.
It's huge. It's what motivates you to keep going. And kind of helps you move from that negativity bias into noticing, the areas where you are growing.
Yeah, because I don't think the world celebrates enough wins.
No.
We have a lot of annual parades, but that's not celebrating a win. That's just an annual parade. So celebrate the wins, no matter how small. Because they're going to be small, especially along the way of growth and therapy. They're going to be very small at first.
But small things can be really big things too.
Exactly.
Just ask the person who started their garden and they finally see that first seed sprout after, however long of tending the soil, plucking the weeds, or, you're learning to cook and you finally
got
salt, that egg yolk to stay rather than breaking open.
I did that huge. The other week, by the way. It was the first time.
Yep. It's
like
such a solid
I
win.
had to proclaim it. I was like, I have,
I kept the yolk intact.
I did it. It's runny. Just how you like it.
Yep. No, it's a thing. It's an absolute
No, that was
thing.
a win.
So small things can feel like big things for sure, because they are. They really are.
Yeah.
Small things are what makes the world move. So on that note, Tom, do you have anything else you want to add?
No. I returning guest. This was, okay, so I will add this. This was a far cry different from our original podcast, which I won't say the name, that we started kind of and then it tapered off. Yeah, this is a different podcast.
Yeah.
This is a much different podcast, which is interesting. I like it.
Yeah, things evolve. Human beings evolve.
Yeah.
We take new paths. And
if we listen to that now and then listen to this, there's like, okay, yep, we grew up.
Yeah, but progress.
Yep.
Lots of growth happens. So takeaways for you. try some new things if you're having some fear-based response. Jay Shetty and Ed Mylett are putting stuff out all the time. There's a reason I keep citing them. It's because weekly they're putting out things based on the advice and often the research of professionals that help you manage your shit and run towards your dreams. So reach for those kind of resources, but also try a couple of them out. Don't get overwhelmed. Take one or two things. And I'm telling you this as my professional experience as a teacher. Don't try a billion different things at once if you're trying to better something. Try one or two things. See how they go. If they work, keep going with them. Make them bigger or shift to something else. Because those little things that you try each week, whether that is journaling about something, if you have a negative thought that's repeating, write it down and rip it up and throw it away. Whatever it is, something you need to release, start trying these things. And see how they're working. And, the other takeaway from this episode is to just shift from an outcome-based mindset. Start working on shifting from that outcome-based mindset to a connection mindset, where instead of, okay, what do I need to do to get my report card? What connections do I need to make today with myself and with others? Because the thing you will also find is that the people who base their happiness and well-being on outcomes are miserable. Because even if you arrive and you get everything you want, and I'm talking about more like material things, the job, the money, the car, you still might find that there's something pretty big missing. So focus on the connections rather than the outcomes. And, thank yourself for coming, because I want to thank you for coming.